So it was the prophet Elijah in First Kings. I think it was chapter 19. Jezebel had been threatening his life, and she even swore over herself, like, on God, I'm gonna come get you, Elijah. Like, you gonna go before me. And Elijah was like, oh no, it went and hid in a cave, right? But he was emotionally, mentally done, yo. He was like, God, why am I even here? Just take me from here, because this is just ridiculous. Like, we already won a huge battle, and then here comes a war. You know what I'm saying? He was like, why? Just tell me, what's the point in me being here? I'm done. Like, I'm alone. I'm the only prophet. People are acting a complete monkey fool over and over. You're not stopping them, God. And I don't see any more prophets. And God was like, the devil is a lie. First of all, let me show you myself, you know? And Elijah was like, okay, I'm kind of here for that. I'm still done right now, but, you know? So God came, but it wasn't in the way that he thought he was coming. First, a huge wind came. You know, wind be knocking stuff over and tearing things up, but God wasn't in the wind. Then a huge earthquake happened, and everything was shifting, moving, things were breaking, but God wasn't there either. Then a fire came, you know, and God wasn't in the fire. And after all of that, Elijah heard what they called a still small voice. And that was Jehovah, Yahweh. All of that dramatic stuff didn't matter. His presence came in such a seemingly tiny way and joined the prophet Elijah. And once you experience God's presence, his real presence, you're never going to feel the same way about him again, and you won't be the same again. And he didn't see his problem or Jezebel the same again. Not after being in that huge presence that you can't even put into words. So that's what I want you to know, that your experience with God will bring you out of a place of discouragement. And nobody will ever be able to say again who you're not and who God isn't to you. And talk to you about whether God really exists again to you. And talk to you about whether what you're doing is useless again or not. Because once you know somebody, you can't unknow them. Once you know something, you can't unknow it. And nothing that anybody else says to you will be able to talk you out of serving your God again. Nobody will be able to take you into another religion, take you to another God, take you to experiment with another power once you've been under and around the highest power. The old people, when I was a child, used to say, you can't make me doubt it because I know too much about it. You can't unknow what you know. And that's what happened to Elijah. He never had one of those breakdowns again. He never had one of those emotional breakdowns again. And I'm going to go ahead and guess that if you ask God to show you himself, that something will happen to where you know him so much you won't be able to be shaken again, and you won't be interested in what you used to be interested in either. Not gossip, not rumors, not foolishness, not illegal stuff, not ratchetness. You just won't be interested anymore. Not in the same way. We all have flesh, okay? So we're all able to be tempted if we allow ourselves to be. But it still won't ever be the same. So I'm going to challenge you to ask God to show himself to you personally, and you tell me what happens after, because the scripture says he's a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. So I'm going to guess, if you ask a few times, if you ask every day for 2 weeks, pretty quickly you're going to have some kind of experience. May it be well with you. I bless your upcoming week for signs and wonders. May everything that you touch in the will of Yahweh prosper